All right, I'm trying to get up close. We have a visitor today, guys, and my mic kind of my mic kind of broke. So Brew's here with me. You can't. Brew, come over here. Look. Ooh, you can kind of see him. He's not very familiar with the camera, so that's what's happening. Anyway, so today I want to talk about Livia Silva for a second because, like, basically, Livia Silva is this like Brazilian actress, and I just found out about her because she's like, I guess like Yashahidi follows her, and one of her clips came up, and then I was watching a show where she was in it on, it was on like Amazon Video, and I was like, this is so great, I love it. Anyway, but she posted this clip, and maybe we can actually just watch the clip, and so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Hold on. All right, Brie, we're gonna pull up this clip for them to see. It's on Instagram, but it was a clip that she posted, and I really liked it. No, Brie, don't do that. Moleque, vamos ter ele junto. Fizemos ele junto. Fizemos. Onde é que tá indo? Pra o leite do nosso moleque. Aqui eu te amo. Você é um moleque. Eu também te amo, Du. Quer dizer, a gente te ama. Okay, so why am I making content about that post? Like, what's so great about that post? You might be asking. And let me tell you, basically, this is kind of one of the first time I'm seeing brown people who are like the same complexion, who seem to be like, just from the same ethnicity, who are like having an intimate love scene, especially where there's like, a brown woman who is the love interest. I think this takes place in Latin America, and I know that girl's from Rio de Janeiro. So the most common person in Rio de Janeiro looks like her. So they're like kind of like Afro Latina. That some people call them that, but I don't know. Let's just call them Brazilians because like it's like 80% of the people in Brazil look like that. So like that is important for a couple of reasons. I found this thread where, or I found this channel. It's called like Exoticals, right? And it was talking about like people who are like, if you have certain facial features, certain, a hair type or a skin color, and there were a couple topics that were covered on that channel, and I kind of just wanted to bring them over here for a second because I thought it was strange. So there's this dark skinned black woman, right? And she starts like going off on how like black men only date light skinned women. And now, like, she's clumping all black men together in this, which I kind of thought was a little bit strange because it's like, okay, well, I mean, obviously, Africa is like a huge continent. It's not just like, so it's very hard to talk about like all black anything because it's like, there and also there's like black people in Jamaica, there's black people in America, and even amongst like African groups, right? It's very hard to say like all black men do this or that. Like that just doesn't even seem, it doesn't really make any sense to me, but whatever. um anyway, so the where was I going with this? Oh, so yeah, so this woman comes on and she's like, oh my god, these black men, they're always walking around with these like light-skinned black women, and they're so ugly, they're so fat, they're so this, they're that. And it's like, wow, so every woman that this woman has seen a black man with who's light-skinned or something, she's like so awful and ugly. It's like, that doesn't really seem. But then she just kept going on, and she was like, so it was like very clear she had like an internal complex about colorism within herself. But also, the strange thing about this was a woman who was criticizing actions of men that she's seen, but she's criticizing the women. And it's like, I understand, like, I have my own qualms with, like, the things that black men do, which is like, I think I'm totally a divester, whatever people call that. Yeah, I just personally haven't seen any like black men in the developed world who seem to like give a shit about like the black community specifically. It's always kind of like whatever is like socially acceptable. Sometimes they'll do that, or like whatever is like popular. It's like, okay, we'll do that. But like when you really think about the stuff that would like benefit the black community, like nobody seems to be putting that first. And it's very hard to like take many black men seriously for me when I see like white men every day putting like their white families first, their white wives, like their community, all these things. It's like, okay, well, if the black community were going to survive, black men would have to do this too, but they don't. So clearly there's no urge, there's no like, nobody wants the black community to survive. And like, I also don't really have a stake in the game, right? Like, I don't care. I've just seen too much of the like negative aspects where like at this point I encourage abortion for all black women. Like, just abort and make your own life better, because every dollar that you earn for yourself could just be put into yourself, and then you can personally buy a better life for yourself, and that is a pathway forward, right, Brew? We can buy more catnip, right? I mean, who bought all these beds for you? Brew, tell them who brought the treats. Eh, Brew, tell them who bought the snacks. Tell them it was me. I bought the snacks. He knows. He's just being shy. He's being modest on camera. Do you guys see his coat? Do you see how shiny his coat is? Yeah, that's that Hills formula. That Hills Kitty formula that he sits there and eats it all day, okay? He also goes on 2 walks and goes to the vet once a month. All of that costs a lot of money, okay? Those American greenbacks go far. Oh, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, like and then I saw Nick Cannon had a talk with Dr. Umar, and I posted something about this. Now, I thought this was funny because basically um Dr. Umar has said this before, because I guess he was like a guidance counselor, and he was also a, how do you say, like one of those therapists that behavioral therapist or something, where he saw a lot of black boys get diagnosed with ADHD and get put on medication and stuff, and he had a problem with that. And that is actually a really big problem. And I do wonder why more people don't care about the fact that that's happening. And then I just kind of summed it up to like, they don't know. And then someone else made a comment that was like, yeah, but like people hearing this message from Dr. Umar isn't going to go well because people don't take Dr. Umar seriously. And then all I could think about when I heard that is like, it doesn't matter though, because if you're not able to like unpack facts, like facts are facts, right? Like, so even if Dr. Umar is stating a fact, you should be able to say he's right about this and he's wrong about this if you think he's wrong about something. But to simply discount him and Nick Cannon because he's Nick Cannon and he's Dr. Umar, well, that just shows it's like literally shows the problem why people probably do have ADHD and other learning disabilities, especially in the black community. They can't critically think. It's all kind of pathetic, really. So I feel like there, like, to an extent, there is like kind of a lot of racism in the education community that is anti-black, and that has been documented quite fervently, right? But like, I don't know. They started to get to the stuff about Margaret Sanger, and that's where I start to have an issue. Like, Margaret Sanger, even though her premise was basically evil, she made it her life's work to like create an abortion pill that would stop black birth. That was like the whole point of it. But I feel like she was right. Like, if you actually look at the society that we have right now, American society specifically, and look at like all of the awful things happening in black American society, it's really bad. Like the things that like all the rappers like 21 Savage, and like, even I saw that Drake is still making jokes about Meg Thee Stallion getting shot. I guess he's like, even after all of the things that have happened, he is still like pushing something about Tory Lanez. I was going to read that article out and maybe we can read it later. But they're like still going, and they're like profiting off of this like violence. And it's actually crazy. Like, it is okay to have that much hate. Like, nobody can stop you. I'm just saying, like, if you're a black woman, you should just know that, like, this is the culture. If you have black children, especially black sons, you're pushing them into that. Because there's nothing else. Like, it's not going away. It isn't getting better. They just keep going, and they're all like, oh, everybody else is a problem. Everybody else is crazy, even though it's their own sons who are on ADHD medication, right? They're all, like, on that, like, retarded slow bus. All of them can't read, right? And everybody's like, it's somebody else's problem. It's not the community. It's not the community. Like, I don't know about that. I don't know. Like, all the black mothers are still single. Isn't it like a 87% unwed mothers, black single mothers are still like it's a bigger problem than it was in the 60s. Black men are still on here making videos about how much they hate black women, policing all of their behaviors. I can't even point to one example of a black couple right now. Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, maybe. That's it. That's the only black couple that I could point to that has children, is just like out. And that's a fucking shame, because like they haven't really been in the public eye like that since they were in presidency. So out of 15% of the whole population, that's like millions of black people. In my real life, I can only point to like one. Oh, I heard Jay-Z and Beyonce are getting a divorce though, so I don't think they count. All the things I've seen them do actually do seem to be kind of separate. They're at events together, but I think that might just be for appearance. Maybe we have like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. I do honestly feel like they're in a happy relationship. The only problem is you got to be serious. They're both Caribbean. And you can't classify the Caribbeans have their own culture. That would be like talking about like the Habesha, marriage rate or something. Like marriage rate of black people in Africa. Like, obviously there's like only, if you're talking about like Ethiopia, there's gonna be like only black people there. So yes, the black women are gonna marry the black men, or like this show that I'm bringing up with like Livia Silva, right? Where it's like she's Brazilian. She's talking to another guy who's Brazilian. They look like very similar. Like, I'm not saying they're like related, but I'm saying they're from like probably the same culture. So yeah, it seems like it just makes sense that like they are together or whatever, and that it's just like showing a very normal type relationship between them, and it also just doesn't have anything to do with like whiteness. It's a fucking weird thing to say, but it's honest. I gotta be honest. I honestly think that like whiteness has destroyed the ability for black people to like live a little bit in like America. It's just like too deep where like nobody can get past it. Like, even I saw Travis Scott, he makes a music video that was about beauty and a model, and he uses what's her name, that Romanian model with the podcast, her. It's like, okay. Yeah. The millions of black models he could have used, no. Instead, he's like, nope, let's use her. So like, this is great. It just makes sense. So clearly, like, the ambition for all of the like, as soon as any black guy gets any sort of like wealth or privilege, he goes Kanye, right? And he's like, as soon as you get on, he'll leave you for a white woman, and then they actually all do, and it's okay. But I mean, I think that like black women just have to start to understand that like this is the goal for them, and that's why you divest, because like you can't have hope for somebody who's hopeless. You know what I mean? Like, if you already know that like somebody's like never gonna be shit, never gonna do shit, and they're not, like, their motives aren't gonna change, and you know the way the story ends, create a different path for yourself. Like, go a different way. Don't just believe like, oh well, I have to do this because, no, you don't. You don't. I don't know. I just wanted to say that. So if you guys have comments on this, let me know.